Hello everyone, I'm Billy Thalheimer with Regent. We build sea gliders at Regent. Going to tell you a little bit about what those are today, but at Regent we're focused on solving the problem of regional mobility. So going to take you through a video here, show you a little bit about the technology we're building at Regent. While we're waiting on the video to load, we have a booth in the back so you can actually see what a sea glider is for real, but we're really excited to be here in Abu Dhabi where we're focused on, again, the coastal regional mobility with our all-electric sea glider platform. So sort of get started just in terms of the problem we're trying to solve, right? So regional mobility means routes between, say, 80 kilometers and 800 kilometers, where you're sitting in the airport longer than you're in the airplane, you're waiting in traffic no matter when you leave in your car. You could maybe take a train with you, but when you take the train, you need to build the tracks for that, and those tracks are incredibly expensive. So we really don't have a good option of these routes on the order of hundreds of kilometers, and so we're going to say when Regent addresses the problem of regional mobility, we're going to focus on the coastal ones, the 40% of the world's population that lives in coastal communities. And when we talk about these coastal communities, we're in one right now in Abu Dhabi and actually throughout the UAE. Most of America, where our company is based, is coastal communities. We're talking about underutilized infrastructure and massive transportation needs, which really has not evolved much despite the fact of how many people live there and how much of the world's cargo and transportation happens in coastal communities. When you look at maritime transportation in general, you'll find that not much has changed over the past century. The boats today look a lot like the boats of the 1900s or even the 1800s for that matter. We're still spewing noxious carbon dioxide gases and using, again, a lot of the same technology as you could have seen in black and white film. This really needs to change, and we need to improve this infrastructure. And it's actually the same for any mode you could take. Aircraft today, while they make up a huge fraction of our long-range transportation system, look a lot like they did in the 1950s. And to me, that's a real problem, that you think about the world of today and the world of the 1950s, and our medicine is different, and our communications are different, and transportation is largely the same. So this is really where Regent comes in with our Sea Glider platform, an entirely new mode of transportation. So this is a look at the Sea Glider we're building right now that we actually expect to bring to Abu Dhabi and throughout the world over the course of the next decade. Sea gliders are all-electric flying boats. They do dock-to-dock over-water transportation with 300-kilometer range. Now, they do fly, so they combine that 300 kilometers an hour high-speed transportation combined with the convenience of a ferry and maritime certification, which I'll talk about later. But basically, sea gliders are the best of boats and planes. They combine sort of the best of both worlds. They're a hybrid right in the middle, and I want to talk a little bit about how they work. What makes a sea glider special? Why is it not a seaplane? We start sea gliders with all-electric propulsion systems, 100% battery-powered. And why is that? It's great that it's green and sustainable, but it actually matters on the bottom line. It is half the cost of any other aircraft operation you can buy. So you're talking about the same speed for half the cost here. And this scales with all of the sea glider platforms, and that is the importance of electric propulsion. Now, the problem with electric propulsion is that you can't go very far. That is why sea gliders use ground effect. Ground effect is this cushion of air that all flying things gets, birds, planes, etc., when they fly low over the surface of the water. So we use the ground effect to grow on the range of other flying platforms. An eVTOL, like you see in the other room, might have 50 nautical mile range. If you fly with a fixed wing, you might get even further. Sea gliders can do 160 nautical miles, or about 300 kilometers, all on battery power. So that means incredibly affordable, low maintenance costs, and easy. Now, the problem with taking off on the water is waves. And so the next problem to solve with sea gliders is how do we take off on waves? And for that, we use hydrofoils. So we're using the latest in sort of maritime technology to have three modes: float, foil, and fly. So I'm going to walk you through this a little bit. By the way, this technology is real. Regent has made sea gliders before, so we'll show you on our prototype here. Sea gliders start on their hull, floating like a boat. You board it like a ferry. It's really easy. Once you get through the dock and come up to speed, you rise up onto those hydrofoils. So you can see now the foils picking the sea glider up on stilts, the waves going beneath you. The passengers don't feel it at all. You can still drink your coffee, drink your wine. We can do medevac missions. Finally, sea gliders, once they come up to speed on the hydrofoil, lift off out of the water onto our wings. We're the only vehicle on the planet that can do that can combine hydrofoils with flight. We retract those hydrofoils, and then we fly within that wingspan of the surface, sort of effortlessly gliding over the surface of the water like a bird on that cushion of air. Now, the problem, and why no one has been able to do this in history, is because it's very difficult to foil fast and it's difficult to fly slowly. So the top speed of a hydrofoil, getting into some physics for you, is called cavitation. You end up boiling the water in your foil. You can't go any faster. You lose all your lift. You have a really bad time. So this basically sets the top speed of any hydrofoiling boat. For those aviation enthusiasts in the crowd, you know that you also have a lower speed of flight where the air sort of loses separation from your wing. That's called stall. And so what we do at Regent is we use a blown wing. So not a very creative name. We blow high-speed air over the wing. We trick the wing into seeing fast-moving air, even though the vehicle's moving slowly. And now for the first time in human history, we've been able to overlap a hydrofoiling ferry with something that flies. Now, actually, distributed propulsion and even that blown wing concept itself is not new, but it's really hard to do. So in the past, if you wanted to distribute propulsion, it probably looks something like this. It's a lot of gearboxes and shafts and maybe multiple engines. This is heavy. It's complicated. It has a high part count. We are really simple. We have a central motor, central battery, motors on the wing, wires between them. It's easy. It's lightweight. It's very reliable. And then, oh, by the way, it's green. And that's actually the best part, and that's why sea gliders work. It's not battery powered because it's green. It's battery powered because it's worked. It's battery powered because we need that electric distributed propulsion to use the hydrofoils. We need the hydrofoils for the wave tolerance. We need the wave tolerance to take off on the water, to fly in the ground effect, get the long range we need to, again, solve that regional mobility problem with batteries. So we sort of solved the problem here, but then the next question you might ask is, well, you know, Regent, you've created a very complicated vehicle here. How am I ever going to operate this thing? How can a human control all these different modes of floating, foiling, and flying? And the answer is you don't have to. We take care of that too. Sea gliders are as easy to drive as a boat. Left, right, fast, slow. So we have flight software on board sea gliders that control all of this for you. So you drive it like a boat with left, right, fast, slow. Doesn't matter if you're floating, foiling, or flying, and the vehicle knows where to go. And we're testing this right now because in order to have a system like that, where you're traveling very high speeds and low altitudes, we need to have sensor systems that work very well, and those are well in test. So now that we have this vehicle that can control itself through floating, foiling, and flying, the next question is obviously, is it safe? Who certifies these things? Well, as I mentioned earlier, these are certified under the maritime domain. So sea gliders are vessels, and that makes a lot of sense operationally. You can see we're not even close to the tallest thing on the water. We fly at an altitude of about 10 meters. That's below ceiling height, so our sea glider captains will be looking up at sailboats and cruise ships in the maritime environment and far below sort of the flying height of things like helicopters. Now, this actually has some international backing. So the International Maritime Organization has claimed that all of vehicles of this type, sea gliders and any other vehicle that flies in the ground effect over water, are certified as vessels. We're based in the US, in the Boston area. The US also has this definition of wing and ground craft in our US code that says these are under shipping law, under Title 46 of US code, again, regulated by the Coast Guard. Since the earliest days of Regent, we've been working with the US Coast Guard that has given us a letter as well where they are going to own our authority. So again, working with the Coast Guard, the maritime agencies versus the FAA and aviation. And we've already made our first major certification milestone, achieving the approval in principle. So the design basis with Bureau Veritas, which is an international shipping regulator. Let's talk about what we're going to do with this. So I did this route yesterday. It took me about an hour and a half to get between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We could do that in about 30 minutes on a sea glider with zero emissions. And so when you think about what does connectivity like that mean, taking existing battery technology, going to Doha, Bani Yas, Dalma Island, This is immense connectivity, and that's just all with today's battery technology. That's within 300 kilometers. As battery gets better, we connect every destination on the Gulf. We connect every destination in the Red Sea. We connect people all around the planet with this technology that is half the price of aircraft today and zero emissions. But we go beyond passenger transportation. We have cargo as well. We're working with Aramex today and other cargo suppliers worldwide to get that sort of next day delivery, again, sustainable and over water. We have tourism applications for our products. So where we're using helicopters today that are dangerous or noisy, you can now tour islands, go scuba diving, visit shipwrecks on sea gliders. We have offshore energy and logistics. We're working with several entities on this. Here where the high range of sea gliders would actually let you get out to a very far offshore platform. Search and rescue applications as well, going out, finding someone, the speed to get an urgent search and rescue. And finally, a defense mission. Regent is a dual-use company, so we're working on defense missions as well. We have investment here from Strategic Development Fund under EDGE, so we're very excited about the defense mission. And I want to show you a little bit about what that might look like to do a defense mission on a sea glider. So we see here a C-17 flying into an island chain somewhere in the Pacific. We see a sea glider folded up in this to get into it. Now, sea gliders are all electric, so how do you charge sea gliders in the fields? Well, you're typically using things like battery packs to fast charge. You can use trucks or Humvees or generators to charge. Sea gliders lift off from their foils and fly in the ground effect below radar coverage, above sonar coverage, so they're actually very hard to see, which means they're protecting the crew and the cargo on board. Sea gliders are very affordable, again, half the cost of aircraft, so you can disperse them throughout island chains. Our first sea glider product, the Viceroy, carries 12 passengers on board. You can also carry immense cargo applications, again, highlighting the dual use of the sea glider platform. We're very focused on exploring both the defense mission and the commercial mission. I think that the thing that speaks to me as founder and CEO at Regent is the multi-mission applicability. On the commercial side, Regent has over $9 billion in orders. We have many orders here in the region, some of our customers all around the world. And what's really exciting is from this vehicle that floats and flies, we have maritime customers who are operating ferries today. We have airlines who are operating aircraft. We have tourism companies, cargo companies. So this is truly a technology that can change how the world moves along waterways, and even better, can make the world more sustainable. So I want to show you where we are today as a company, where the technology is coming along. This is much more than CGI. This is real technology. So this is our quarter scale prototype, and we have a copy of that in the back on the other side there. But it has proven all of these applications, floating, foiling, and flying, those flight controls and flight software that make this as easy to drive as a boat. And we've tested this for well over a year now. Once we did it for the first time, we said, okay, that's great. We proved we can float, foil, and fly, but what's next? Well, we got to put it through waves. We got to show that this technology can operate in all conditions. We need to prove the wave tolerance of hydrofoils. So that's what we've been doing here. We have taken this thing out in some really bad conditions. You can see it here going through some high waves. The waves here are about 1/2 meter tall, and this is a quarter scale prototype. So if you multiply that by 4, you're talking 2-meter waves that our full scale vehicle will be able to tolerate. Next step for Regent and what we're working on right now is building the first full-scale human-carrying sea glider on the planet. So you can see that vehicle in build right now. We expect to get that on the water later this year and try to get human flight by the end of this year. So this is all happening really fast. We're going to move from this full-scale prototype that you're seeing now very quickly into production, get vehicles out into the world over the next few years, and are really excited. We just signed an MOU with Audio to localize manufacturing here, so to actually to bring sea gliders here to Abu Dhabi and around the region. So that's sort of the quick overview on Regent. Obviously a lot there. You can visit us at www.regentcraft.com. But this is real. This is a new mode of transportation, a new technology that is going to change the way people move. We bring humans aboard this year. And once again, thank you for your time. I'm Billy Thalheimer from Regent.